My next weapon video is going to be on Kravras's weapon. Now this serves as a bit of a diversion from my usual content, since this is, I guess, primarily targeted at low to mid-spender bow players. But that is a very big population within this game, and a lot of players run that build. So this will actually probably be quite relevant to a lot of people. Now Kravras is positioned in a very interesting spot in that, of course, he has effectively no synergy because the only synergy he has is with additional normal attack synergy, yet Sonara doesn't work with bows, so he's in practice synergyless. The only synergy you can really run with bows is female, and he's of course male. So therefore you're going to have to overcome his gender effectively as a negative trait through his awakening ability to justify actually using him in mid-spender bow compositions. So I have here in a spreadsheet all the details about his weapon, pretty much everything you could possibly hope to know about it. So I use 18 groupings of 5 attacks as the breakpoint here, since for me, when I've hit or tested against rebel groups with mono bow formations, there's been a total of 90 attacks. So everything is going to be mathed up from that. You can see at the bottom here the percentage increase on average of the total amount of normal attacks. You can see how that correlates with each tier of the weapon effect down here. But the significant part, I guess, will be this tab here of the total increase of attacks you'll get throughout a fight. Now, as some perspective, since all of this has to be looked at through the lens of if you're running a mid-spender formation and it's female synergy, you're going to have to overcome the loss of additional actives, which is a greater proportion of bow damage because the total number of attacks here is so significantly lower than melee unit attacks. So therefore commander damage is a greater proportion of bowman damage. If you are a lower spender free-to-play bow player, there's not much to think through here. Kravras is probably your best commander, and any upgrades you can actually get to him is obviously just ideal. But just for comparison's sake, this jump from no Kravras to base Kravras is 18 additional attacks. If you envision that as commander damage, that'll be 1,800% additional commander damage. That's the equivalent of approximately 7 active castings. So if you're running a female commander with Leila and you don't have a weapon on her, you're going to get 2.2 on average additional active casts. So 2.2 additional active casts through Leila, and effectively 7 active casts gained through damage through Kravras here. Kravras is going to provide so much more damage than his gender will lose you, and players should not be entirely wedded to synergy because of that. Normally, full synergy is the best option, but in Kravras's case, his ability is so strong until you get to the premium commander level with like Daenerys and Cersei. I really strongly believe, at least the theory crafts out to be this way, that Kravras should be a mainstay in all bowman formations. You can see his 4-star weapon, you'll be gaining about 24 to 25 additional normal attacks. With bow's attack speed, if you take it without Kravras, that's approaching like 10 seconds of normal attacks just from his awakening effect alone. That is an insane amount of additional damage. And I think the numbers just speak for themselves realistically. Kravras is so good in those mid to low spender bow formations. Here you can see non-bow players, a potentially relevant bit, which is the defensive max troops increase. It goes from 400 to 500 to 600 to 700k, and then the jump from 3 to 4 stars is an additional 300k. So you'll get Kravras's weapon through All Out War. The timing of this video is fairly deliberate, with All Out War being about 2 weeks away at the time of when this video will be posted. So all weapons will eventually have value, of course, through the additional army size, but Kravras as well will have an additional bonus to non-bow players, and bow players too. particularly if they're running like T1 bow traps and whatnot, through this additional defensive limit. Now, below I have a little bit of a comparison where Kravras's full awakening stats here. You see how he caps out at 66% bow attack. And I'm comparing him to Egbert. So Egbert has 104% bow attack passively, or passively in his active stats. Then this effect, when you account for the uptime, I believe it was an additional about 20% bow attack. So it's about 125% bow attack there compared to this. So he has about 60% additional bow attack on Kravras. The question then becomes, of course, are these additional attacks greater than 60% bow attack? And just to prove the point of how much additional damage these normal attacks are going to be bringing, this doesn't totally work this way, but I'm going to explain it this way just so it's easy to visualize. If you take the freestyle weapon and the 25% additional attacks, if you're attacking with, say, like 1,400% bow attack, 600% total attack, so it's about 2,000% totaled attack stats for your bows. In terms of normal attack damage, this awakening effect alone is effectively going to be bringing the value of 500% bow attack to your normal attacks, because you can either have 2,000% attack on the bows, attacking 1.25 times, or you can have 2,500% attack on the bows, attacking one time, and that number will be the same sum. As I said, this doesn't totally work out in practice, because of course it doesn't contribute to commander damage and whatnot, but I think it proves the point well enough that Kravras is quite clearly ahead of something like Egbert despite the lower stats, because the increase in damage you're getting from something like that is just such a mountain to climb for something like Egbert. Nothing really comes close at all. And that's pretty much it. So all in all, Kravras' weapon, or more specifically his awakening effect, which his weapon just exaggerates, is quite genuinely one of the best awakening effects in the game. It's just he's in a pretty terrible build and doesn't really have synergy options around him. But in terms of him in a vacuum, he is incredible, and I would totally advise all low to mid spending bow players to run him 100% of the time and to try and get as many fragments for his weapon as you can get in this upcoming All Out War event.